So why do successful companies fail? Not because they do things wrong, but because they do things right. That's the theory, at least, of Harvard professor Clay Christensen. He came up with it in the 1990s. Now he's worried that innovation itself is in serious trouble, and some of the world's best-known tech firms, like Apple, who this week launched yet another version of its iPhone, had better take note. Here's Paul Mason.
We've lived through an age of innovation. From the modem to broadband to Wi-Fi over a cappuccino. From the Duff car to the electric car, the unmanned drone, the computer virus, and of course, the cat video. But is it all the wrong kind of innovation? Since the mid-90s, the holy grail has been disruptive innovation. The new machines and techniques that blow away old ones and create new economies, change the world. The man who invented the term is Harvard professor Clay Christensen. And now he's worried.
Literally 100% of the jobs are created by disruptive innovation. And the reason why is disruptive innovation transform complicated, expensive products into products that are so affordable and accessible that many more people have access to them.
And usually that's good because
many more people have access. The companies have to hire people to make them and distribute them and sell them and service them and so on. And yet our system impedes capital from being used to start more and more of these empowering innovations.
Instead, money is being hoarded inside corporations or used to create low-skilled jobs or to defend monopoly positions that boost profits in the short term. So could that stop the economic recovery from taking off?
We need to describe what you just said in the present tense, not the future sense. It is here. In America, we are launching only a third of the disruptive innovations that we used to do in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. Because the way we measure things makes capital unwilling to invest in those things. And in Britain, it's worse. I'm not aware of any truly disruptive innovations that have been launched here.
Instead, he says, the finance system rewards market dominance, one after the other, from IBM to Microsoft, and now Google and Facebook. Stock markets love a big beast. But it wasn't always like that. Before 1914, the US President, Teddy Roosevelt, attacked the power of monopolies and price cartels, and that moment is etched into American business history. Does it not frustrate you that some of these great names of our time in business and in technology are effectively monopoly or dominant players? Do you not crave a Theodore Roosevelt to come along and say, enough anti-competition?
That's a great observation. And I would say no. That historically, when there has been a monopolist, it hasn't been that the government came in and cut them up, but it was disruption that cut them up. And so IBM was being sued by the government in America because they thought it was a monopolist. And what cut them up was the personal computer. It wasn't the government.
Right now, the tech world is gripped by a deathmatch in the smartphone market between Apple, which just launched a cut-price iPhone, and Samsung, whose Android phones use a free open system backed by Google. The stakes are high.
There is absolutely a theory that describes how a proprietary business architecture gives way over time to open architectures.
So like iTunes, the Apple Mac operating system, the iPod,
all of
this
them
could all end in tears.
That's right, because every one of those in the past has now been disrupted by open architectures. And Apple has always been able to come up with the next closed architecture that targets a different set of customers in the market. And I don't see that coming. Instead, they're taking their iPhone to the 5th generation still proprietary, closed, and those that are on the open.
And by proprietary, we mean locked down into Apple's world and Apple's world only.
That's correct. That's correct. And that is what kills companies. And so Nokia is essentially gone. BlackBerry is essentially gone. And now Apple's next.
If he's right, the most successful tech company in the world had better get its head around the idea of disruptive innovation.
That was Paul Mason, and we'll miss him and wish him well in his own innovation.